My family laughed at my dreams. Now they beg to join my success. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. I still remember the way the laughter echoed around the dining room like it was yesterday. It was my birthday of all days. The long mahogany table was covered with roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and my mom's famous apple pie. Candles flickered softly, but the warmth in the room didn't touch me. It burned me. I'd been saving this announcement for weeks. I'd quit my job at the marketing firm to start my own business, something I'd been sketching, planning, and dreaming about for years. My hands were sweaty under the table as I cleared my throat and said, I've decided to launch my own company. It's going to be a digital platform connecting small creators to bigger audiences. I'm going all in. Silence. For maybe 2 seconds. Then the laughter came. First from my cousin Mark, shaking his head like I'd just told the dumbest joke he'd ever heard. Then my older sister, smirking as she took a sip of wine. You? Run a company? She said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You couldn't even handle paying your student loans without Mom bailing you out. Mom's eyes darted between plates, avoiding mine. Dad gave me this half-smile that was worse than outright laughter. It was pity. Sweetheart, he said, you should probably keep your job until this hobby of yours proves itself. You're not exactly Steve Jobs. Every word was a knife, but my brother Tom twisted it further. Don't worry, when it crashes, we'll save you a seat back at the kids' table. The whole table erupted again. Even my aunt, who usually stayed quiet, muttered something about me, chasing another phase. I sat there, my fork untouched, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes on me, not with pride or support, but with judgment. The apple pie smell made me nauseous. I didn't defend myself. I just swallowed hard and forced a smile. But inside, I made a silent promise. I would succeed. Not just for me, but to make every single one of them eat their words. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my sister that made my blood boil. Hope you enjoyed your little announcement last night. Can't wait to see how fast you fail. I deleted it. Then I opened my laptop. It was time to start. What I didn't know was that the first step I took that morning would lead to a betrayal so deep, it would nearly destroy everything, before I even got my first client. The first week after my announcement was a blur of caffeine, late nights, and a growing sense of isolation. My phone barely buzzed unless it was spam or a bill reminder. Not a single family member checked in, not even Mom. I poured myself into the business plan. I had mapped out the platform's features, potential revenue streams, and even a short list of small creators I wanted to approach. Every detail mattered. I told myself the silence from my family was a blessing. Less noise, more focus. But on the 10th day, the first blow landed. I was at a coffee shop, hunched over my laptop, when a message popped up from Sarah, an old friend from college. Hey, so is it true? You're already shutting it down? My stomach dropped. Shutting it down? I called her immediately. Where did you hear that? I demanded. She hesitated. Your brother Tom told a bunch of people at Dan's party last night. Said you realized it was a bad idea and were looking for your old job back. Honestly, he made it sound like you were embarrassed. Heat rushed to my face. My own brother, spreading lies before I'd even begun. It's not true, I snapped. I'm still working on it. Oh, I figured. It got around fast. When I hung up, my hands shook over the keyboard. I opened Facebook and saw it. Tom had posted a funny status. Guess some dreams are better left as dreams, tagged with a laughing emoji. The comments were worse. Cousins, friends, and even an old high school teacher liking it. A few chimed in. Knew it wouldn't last. Told you so. Some people just can't handle the real world. I should have ignored it. But instead, I typed a comment. Funny, Tom. You'll eat those words someday. Within minutes, my sister replied. Dream big, fail bigger. Can't wait for the fireworks. I closed my laptop. My ears rang. This wasn't just mockery anymore. They were trying to bury me before I'd even stood up. That night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, a thought crept in. Maybe this wasn't just about proving myself. Maybe this was about revenge. And then, 2 days later, I stumbled onto something about Tom. Something he wouldn't want anyone to know. It started with pure chance. I wasn't looking for dirt on Tom. Not yet. But when you're the family's punching bag, you learn to keep your ears open. I was back at the same coffee shop, sketching out the site's mock-up, when I overheard a familiar voice a few tables away. Tom's best friend, Ryan, was laughing into his phone. I caught fragments. No, no, don't tell his wife. Man, he's screwed if she finds out. Vegas wasn't just poker, if you know what I mean. I froze. I didn't want to seem like I was eavesdropping, but my hands paused mid-typing. Tom had been married to Lisa for 5 years, and if there was one thing she hated, it was gambling. She'd once blown up at him for spending $50 at a casino during a work trip. If he was hiding something bigger. When Ryan left, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through Tom's Instagram. There it was, a post from 3 weeks ago, him at a conference in Nevada. A background search of the hotel and the photo revealed something interesting. The exact same week, that hotel hosted a high-stakes poker tournament and a gentleman's club industry event. I dug deeper. Public poker results aren't hard to find. And sure enough, Thomas J. Cooper, buy-in $2,000, out in the second round. Meaning he'd lost at least $2,000 in a single night. And then came the jackpot. Buried in a public Facebook album from one of his buddies was a candid shot. Tom, drink in hand, grinning with an arm around a woman who was definitely not Lisa. The timestamp? The same Vegas weekend. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. This wasn't just gossip. This was ammunition. The kind that could blow up his perfect, responsible older brother image forever. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. If they wanted to play dirty, I could play dirtier. And I knew exactly when to use it at the next family gathering. It was Mom's 60th birthday, the kind of event where everyone dressed up, smiled for pictures, and pretended the family was perfect. I almost didn't go, but then I thought about the Vegas photo and decided this was the perfect stage. The living room was packed. Balloons, cake, champagne, and Tom playing the charming eldest son. He was in full performance mode, topping up drinks, making toasts, bragging about how far we've all come. Every time his eyes landed on me, there was that smug little smirk, like I was still the failure he could joke about later. Halfway through dinner, Aunt Carol brought up career updates. My younger cousin gushed about her new job, and someone asked me how my little website hobby was going. The chuckles around the table stung, but I kept my expression neutral. Then I said, "Oh, it's going well. In fact, I've been networking a lot. You'd be surprised what you learn when you talk to the right people." Tom raised an eyebrow. Like what? How to sell those imaginary dreams of yours? Laughter rippled. I leaned forward, meeting his gaze. Like how some people go to Vegas for more than conferences. And how losing a couple thousand on poker is bad enough, but losing it while you've got your arm around someone who's not your wife. That's interesting. The room went dead silent. Forks froze midair. Lisa turned to Tom so slowly, it was almost cinematic. "What did you just say?" she whispered. Tom stammered, his face draining of color. "She's making it up. She's just bitter." I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. The photo glared up at him in full resolution. Lisa's chair scraped back so hard it tipped over. She didn't say a word, just grabbed her purse and walked out. Tom lunged for my phone, but I slipped it into my pocket and stood. Funny how dreams aren't so laughable when you're the one caught living a lie. Every eye in the room was on him as I walked out. I didn't even hear the birthday cake song start. I was barely 2 blocks from Mom's house when my phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, I ignored it. Let them stew. But by the 6th missed call, I glanced at the screen. Mom. Then Dad. Then Tom. Then a string of messages from unknown numbers. Finally, one came through from Lisa. "I want to talk. Alone." My pulse spiked. Part of me expected her to unleash fury for humiliating her in front of the family. Another part wondered if this was exactly what I'd been waiting for, a crack in the perfect facade. We met at a quiet cafe downtown the next morning. She looked like she hadn't slept, makeup smeared, hair in a messy bun, sunglasses hiding her eyes. She didn't waste time. "I've known about things for a while," she said quietly, stirring her coffee without looking at me. "But I didn't know about her. Or the money." Her voice cracked just enough for me to believe it wasn't an act. I leaned back, watching her carefully. "So why tell me now?" I asked. "You've sat through every family dinner where they've laughed at me, where Tom's made sure I looked like a joke. And you played along." She flinched. "Because now I need your help. I want out. But I can't do it without proving what he's done with our accounts." It was a twist I didn't see coming. I'd spent years imagining revenge scenarios, but this was different. She wasn't asking me to destroy him out of spite. She wanted evidence that could ruin him legally. and she was offering something in return. I know things about the way your family's treated you. Things that could change how everyone sees you. Her hands trembled as she slid a folded piece of paper across the table. I unfolded it and saw the first real thread that could unravel everything Tom had built. It was a bank statement, and my name was on it. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The bank statement had my name, my old address, and a savings account I didn't remember opening. But the numbers, God, the numbers, were impossible to ignore. Thousands in deposits. Withdrawals I'd never made. My stomach knotted. What is this? I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. A couple at the next table glanced over. Lisa leaned in, speaking low. It's the account Tom used to funnel money. Under your name. He's been moving funds here, then draining it, making it look like you were the one spending it. The blood drained from my face. My hands went cold. So all those times they said I was irresponsible, all the little digs about me wasting money. Planted, she said flatly. He built a story around you. That way, if anyone looked too closely, you'd take the fall. I couldn't breathe for a moment. Every insult, every humiliating joke, every time my parents rolled their eyes when I talked about my plans, it all connected. Tom had poisoned them against me, and they'd believed him without question. Why show me this now? I asked. Lisa looked me dead in the eyes. Because if he goes down, I go down too. My name's on other accounts. But you? You're the clean one. If we work together, we can both walk away free and make him pay. I stared at her, torn between fury and suspicion. She was offering me the chance to clear my name, but I knew she wasn't doing it out of kindness. Still, I slipped the paper into my bag. Proof like this didn't come twice. Lisa finished her coffee, stood up, and without looking back said, "Meet me at this address tonight. Alone." She slid a napkin across the table with a scrawled location. When I got home, I opened the napkin again. The address wasn't hers. It was Tom's office. The building loomed like a shadow in the night, glass and steel reflecting the dim orange glow of the street lamps. Tom's office was on the 8th floor, the floor I'd never been allowed to visit when we were married. Too boring, he used to say. You wouldn't understand what we do there. Now, standing at the locked glass doors, I understood all too well. This was where his secrets lived. Lisa appeared out of the darkness, her heels clicking softly on the pavement. She wore a black trench coat and carried a slim leather folder under her arm. No smile, no greeting, just a curt nod. "Follow me." She led me to a side entrance. The security keypad beeped, and with a few practice presses, we were inside. My pulse quickened with every step down the silent hallway, the hum of the fluorescent lights above making my skin crawl. "Why are we here?" I whispered. Lisa didn't answer until we reached Tom's office door. She slid a key in, turned it, and stepped aside. "Because everything you need to destroy him is in here." The air inside was stale, tinged with the scent of old coffee and expensive cologne. His desk was immaculate, too immaculate. Lisa moved to a locked cabinet, knelt down, and pulled a ring of keys from her pocket. With a soft click, the drawer slid open, revealing stacks of manila folders, each labeled in Tom's precise handwriting. She handed me one. Inside were photocopies of passports, his and someone else's, under different names. Bank account numbers. Wire transfer receipts to offshore accounts. "This is enough to bury him," I murmured. Lisa's lips curved into a thin smile. "Bury him? This is enough to make him wish he was dead." Before I could reply, the sound of the elevator doors echoed down the hallway. Lisa's face went pale. "We're not supposed to have company tonight." The echo of footsteps grew louder, sharper, until they seemed to vibrate through the thin office walls. Lisa's eyes darted to the open drawer, then to me. "Close it. Now." My hands fumbled with the folders, shoving them back into place, heart pounding in my ears. But before I could lock it, the doorknob turned. Lisa moved faster than I'd ever seen her, yanking me by the wrist and pulling us behind a tall filing cabinet. The door creaked open, and a shadow stretched long across the floor. I dared to peek. It wasn't Tom. It was a man in a charcoal suit, tall, with a hard, angular face I didn't recognize. His movements were deliberate, almost military. He stepped inside, glancing around as though expecting someone. Then, with slow precision, he pulled out his phone and spoke in a low voice. "She's not here. Neither of them are." A pause. "No. I'll find it before they do." My stomach nodded. Who was she? Me? Lisa? The man's gaze lingered on Tom's desk. He opened the top drawer, rifling through papers, then frowned. When he turned toward the cabinet, Lisa's grip tightened painfully on my arm. The air felt suffocating, the only sound my own shallow breathing. His hand reached for the cabinet handle, and then his phone buzzed again. He cursed under his breath, answered, and stepped back into the hallway. Lisa exhaled sharply. That's not one of ours, she whispered. One of yours. I hissed back. She didn't answer, just locked the cabinet in one swift motion and shoved the keys into my palm. We need to leave. Now. But as we slipped out, I noticed something chilling. The elevator light wasn't moving. Whoever that man was, he hadn't left the building. We moved quickly but quietly, my pulse hammering in my ears. Lisa's heels clicked softly against the polished tile, each sound feeling too loud in the empty hallway. When we reached the elevator, the down arrow was glowing, but the doors stayed stubbornly shut. Lisa jabbed the button again, her jaw tightening. We can't wait here, I whispered, glancing over my shoulder. The hall was empty, but the silence was heavy, like the building itself was holding its breath. Lisa yanked my arm toward the stairwell. The heavy metal door groaned as we pushed it open, and we slipped inside. The air smelled faintly of dust and concrete. We descended 2 flights before hearing it, footsteps echoing from below. Not hurried, measured, deliberate. We froze. The steps grew louder, then paused. A voice floated up, low but distinct. They're here. Lisa's eyes went wide. She grabbed my hand and started dragging me up instead of down. We ran, breath ragged, shoes slamming against the steps. My legs screamed, but adrenaline drowned the pain. We burst through a door into a dim, half-finished floor, bare walls, exposed wiring, the smell of fresh plaster hanging in the air. Construction level, Lisa muttered. No cameras. Before I could ask what she meant, the stairwell door below slammed open. The sound reverberated up the concrete, well like a gunshot. Lisa pulled me behind a stack of drywall sheets. My lungs burned as we crouched, trying to quiet our breathing. Footsteps entered the floor, slow and deliberate. The man's voice again, closer this time. You can't hide forever. A shadow passed across the unfinished wall just feet from us. Then came the creak of boots on loose plywood, getting closer. The shadow grew longer as the footsteps drew near. My breath caught in my throat, every muscle locked. Lisa's grip on my wrist was iron, her nails digging into my skin. The man stepped into view. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in dark clothes that looked too clean for a construction site. His face was partially obscured by the brim of a baseball cap, but his eyes, sharp and unblinking, found ours instantly. There you are, he said, like we'd kept him waiting for an appointment. Lisa sprang up first, placing herself between me and him. You have no business here, she said, voice steady but cold. He tilted his head. Oh, I think I do. Your friend here owes someone a conversation. His gaze slid to me, and I felt like he could see straight through my skin. I swallowed hard. I don't even know you. The man smiled faintly, which somehow made it worse. You don't have to know me. You just have to come with me. Lisa stepped forward, blocking his path. Not happening. For a moment, it was a standoff, 3 statues in a room full of unfinished walls. Then the man reached into his jacket. Lisa's hand darted to her purse. I didn't know what she had in there, but from the way she moved, she meant to use it. Before either of them could act, a loud crash rang out from across the floor, metal pipes clattering to the ground. The man's head whipped toward the sound, his attention breaking just long enough for Lisa to grab my arm. Run! We bolted toward the far exit, my heart thundering in my ears. Behind us, his voice roared, no longer calm. You're making a mistake. But we didn't stop. Not when the pounding of his boots followed. Not when the door to the next stairwell loomed ahead. And not when Lisa hissed. This is where it gets dangerous. We burst through the stairwell door, our footsteps echoing in the narrow, concrete shaft. Lisa didn't hesitate. She grabbed my hand and pulled me up instead of down. What are you doing? I gasped between breaths. Trust me, she panted. Down is where they expect us to go. Up buys us time. Every step burned in my legs, but the sound of the man's boots below fueled my panic. He was coming fast. We reached the top floor, and Lisa shoved open a heavy metal door. Cold night air slapped me in the face, bringing with it the scent of rain on hot asphalt. The rooftops stretched out under a navy sky, dotted with vents, satellite dishes, and the low hum of machinery. City lights sprawled in the distance, neon flickers bouncing off glass towers. Lisa scanned the edges. There, she pointed to the opposite side. Fire escape. We sprinted across the tarred surface, the gravel crunching underfoot. My heart hammered, not just from running, but from the sheer drop waiting beyond the roof's edge. Halfway there, the stairwell door slammed open behind us. Stop! The man's voice cut through the wind. He was closer than I'd thought, closer than I wanted to believe. Lisa didn't slow. Keep moving, she hissed, her voice low but urgent. And whatever you do, don't look back. But I did. The man was sprinting now, cap flying off, his face fully visible. And my stomach dropped. I knew him. Not well, but enough to remember exactly where I'd seen him before, standing behind my sister at the courthouse the day everything fell apart. And he wasn't just some stranger. He was her friend. Or worse, her accomplice. My legs nearly gave out when I realized who he was. Memories flashed. The smug smile he wore in the courtroom. The way he whispered into my sister's ear as she fake cried on the stand. I thought he was just some moral support from her support group. Now, here he was, chasing us across a rooftop like we were fugitives. Lisa yanked on my arm, pulling me toward the edge. Don't freeze now, we don't have time. We reached the fire escape, its rusted metal frame rattling in the wind. Lisa swung her leg over the railing and started down without hesitation. I followed, my hands trembling as I gripped the cold steel. From above, heavy footsteps pounded closer. He wasn't slowing. Halfway down, the fire escape jolted under a sudden impact. I glanced up. He'd leapt onto it from the roof, the metal groaning beneath his weight. His eyes locked on me, cold and deliberate. You have something that doesn't belong to you, he called down. His voice was calm, almost amused. I swallowed hard. Yeah? Maybe it's the truth. Lisa reached the next platform and looked back at me. Move. We have to get to the alley before. Her sentence cut off when a deafening clang echoed up from below. 2 more men had stepped into the alley, blocking the bottom of the fire escape. They looked up at us, faces hidden under the shadow of hoodies. One of them tapped a metal pipe against the ladder like he was ringing a dinner bell. We were trapped, accomplice above, enforcers below. And in that frozen moment, I realized this wasn't just about my sister's lies anymore. This was a setup, and we were right in the middle of it. Lisa's eyes darted from the men below to the man above. They're boxing us in, she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time since we'd met. The man on the platform above started descending, slow and steady, like he had all the time in the world. We can do this the easy way, he said, or the hard way. What do you want? I demanded, my voice echoing between the brick walls. He smirked. That recording, the one you think will clear your name. Hand it over, and maybe you walk out of here. My stomach clenched. The flash drive was tucked deep inside my jacket pocket. The proof of my sister's fake tears, the key to dismantling every lie she'd ever told. Lisa leaned in, her breath hot against my ear. If you give it to them, it's over. They'll bury it. And you. Below, the man with the pipe took a step forward. Clock's ticking, sweetheart. I scanned the alley. The fire escape ended 10 feet above the ground. Too far to drop without risking a broken leg, especially with those 2 waiting. The windows around us were dark and barred. The man above closed in, each creak of the steps slicing through my thoughts. Lisa's grip tightened on my arm. Follow my lead, she muttered. Before I could ask what she meant, she yanked a pepper spray can from her bag, whipped around, and sprayed it straight up into his face. He howled, stumbling back, clutching his eyes. Go, she screamed. We leapt the last few steps, hitting the ground hard. The men with the pipe lunged forward, but Lisa swung her bag like a weapon, connecting with one of their heads. The other grabbed my sleeve, snarling, You're not leaving with that drive. I twisted free, my pulse pounding. For a split second, I saw his face under the hood. It was someone I recognized, and that changed everything. The hood slipped just enough for the dim alley light to catch his features. My breath caught. Ethan, I blurted before I could stop myself. His eyes widened, not in guilt, but in recognition. You shouldn't be here, he hissed. Ethan wasn't just anyone. He was my cousin. The same cousin who'd testified in court, swearing he believed every word my sister said. The same one who'd avoided me ever since. Lisa froze mid-swing, glancing between us. You know him? Unfortunately, I said, my voice trembling with fury. Ethan's jaw tightened. It's not what you think. I stepped forward, shoving his chest. You helped ruin my life, Ethan, and now you're working for her? The man with the pipe groaned, still dazed from Lisa's bag attack, but Ethan didn't even look at him. His eyes darted toward the mouth of the alley, as if expecting someone else to show up. She's not who you think she is, he muttered under his breath, barely audible over the pounding in my ears. I laughed bitterly. Oh, I know exactly who she is. And when I'm done, the whole world will too. Before he could respond, a low rumble echoed from the street, a car engine idling close by. Lisa's grip on my wrist tightened. We need to move. Now. Ethan glanced over his shoulder, then back at me. If you walk out of here with that proof, you'll have every reason to regret it. They won't stop. I stared at him, searching for some flicker of remorse. Instead, I saw fear, and it wasn't for me. From the shadows at the alley's end, a tall figure emerged. And it was her, my sister. She stepped into the weak glow of the street lamp, her face perfectly composed, as if she'd just stepped out of a courtroom where she'd won. Well, she purred, isn't this a cozy little reunion? My fingers clenched around the envelope in my bag. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs rooted in place. Lisa shifted, subtly putting herself between me and my sister like she could sense the tension crackling in the air. You've been busy, my sister continued, her eyes flicking toward Ethan. I told you to make sure she stopped digging. Ethan swallowed hard, and for the first time, I realized he was terrified of her. Busy finding the truth, I shot back. My voice was louder than I expected, cutting through the thick night air. I have everything. The emails, the recordings, the messages you swore didn't exist. Your whole little performance, done. Her smile faltered, just slightly. You think anyone will believe you? After everything you've done? I still own the narrative. I stepped forward, heart pounding. Not for long. Because tomorrow morning, these files go public. Every lawyer, every reporter, every person who ever heard your sob story will finally see you for what you are, a liar. For a split second, her mask cracked, rage flashing in her eyes. Then she glanced past me, and I realized Ethan was no longer looking at her. He was looking at the street. Headlights flared at the alley's mouth. A black SUV rolled forward, its tinted windows hiding whoever was inside. My sister's smirk returned. You're not making it to tomorrow.